have a very impressive career in the software industry for more than 20 years now. Could you tell us about yourself and how your paths crossed with Sage?
Sure. Thank you. In my career, my resume is very short. It really is. It's like one page. I dabbled in college building some accounting software, believe it or not. I was too afraid of starting my own business when I was in college, so I took a job working for Arthur Andersen. When I graduated, you've probably never heard of Arthur Andersen, but when I joined, they were one of the top accounting firms in the world. I left about 2 years after I joined because I was very bored. And they went out of business about 6 months later after I left. At some point you can go do look into that. It's kind of an interesting story. But I moved to California and helped to start Intact. This was in early 2000. And I basically worked at Intact for almost 18 years until Sage acquired the company in 2017. And in early 2019, the Sage CEO asked me to join his leadership team to be the global CTO for the business. So now I'm the CTO for all of Sage globally. We have 144 products, 3 million-ish customers, 11,000 employees around the world. Turkey is one of the few places where we don't actually have any employees, but I'm sure we have some customers in Turkey. But yeah, like I said, it's a pretty short resume. I spent the most of my adult life building Intact.
That's great. So what's behind the scenes of Sage Intact's steady success? What privileges does Sage Intacct provide to its customers?
So I think the secret with Intact, and by the way, Peter's been along most of the journey as well. I think what enabled our success was we earned the trust of our customers. And by earning the trust of our customers, they were both forgiving as well as willing partners as we tried to innovate and do things differently. They were patient when we asked them to solve problems in a different way than they were used to solving them. So they were sort of willing accomplices as we innovated. We also made a very deliberate decision, and this ties back to earning their trust. We made a deliberate decision to be an easy company to work with, to be known as being nice, which was a bit of a contrast to the way often business happens. And so it gave us, I think, as I said, the trust of our customers to be creative, to do things differently. That's probably I would say the biggest thing. I guess the other thing is that carried over to our employees as well. There's a sense of trust and camaraderie within the team, which then, our customers could feel that, right, when they interacted with us.
Yeah. So the world is going through an extraordinary test now, and this unprecedented pandemic has deeply affected the business world. What would you recommend to businesses that have been significantly affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, of how they can leverage digital transformation to mitigate the impacts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a straightforward answer, but customers need to digitize all of their business processes, starting with their relationship with their customers. How you serve your customers, even if your business is a traditional business, like a restaurant, you still have the opportunity to create a digital relationship with your customers, whether it's enabling your customers to order food online, if you're in the entertainment industry, enabling them to book or look at schedules online. You have to really look at how customers can consume your service digitally. That's the most important thing. And the good news is, if the good news, right? There's no good news in a pandemic. But imagine if this had happened 10 years ago. We didn't have Zoom to the degree we have it today. We didn't have Grubhub or Uber Eats, right, for online food ordering, right? We really hadn't made much progress in digitizing customer relationships. My son does college tutoring, so he helps high school students get admission into colleges. If this had happened 10 years ago, the small business that he works for would have just ended, because they would have had no ways to provide the service for students. Now it all just happens over Zoom. So it's just a matter of embracing the technology. The technology is there, it's available. They just have to take the bold step and do it.
Yeah, exactly. In the last quarter of 2020, the effects of COVID-19 have become more visible day by day. How did COVID-19 affect Sage Intacct?
Well, the most obvious was we had to close our offices. We had, which actually for us, I was very surprised and impressed at how seamless we made the transition. It was not much more than a blip. People, I think, easily transitioned to working from home. I think some people were more challenged than others. I really empathize with employees who have young families and who are having to deal with the loss of childcare while simultaneously trying to work from home, and often you're sharing your home workspace with somebody else. And so I'm not trying to say that it's easy, but I think we had already developed our ways of working, so it made it quite seamless. Another big challenge was facing the uncertainty in business. Prior to COVID, we had a very predictable forecast of our business. We could predict with a lot of accuracy how much the business was going to grow. We could predict with a lot of accuracy, our ability to hire people and our expenses. And suddenly, COVID throws that all up in the air. And so you have to learn to operate with much more uncertainty than you had in the past. And what I'm quite proud of with Sage is that, whenever there's a crisis, it magnifies the culture and the values of a business, and it tests the convictions of a business. And so I'm quite proud that with COVID-19, Sage, didn't have any workforce cuts. In fact, we doubled down, right? We said now is the time for us to accelerate our hiring. We didn't change our conviction about the strategy and the direction for the business. We thought now is the opportunity to accelerate the strategy. So if you've developed the culture and the values and you go into a crisis with conviction, the crisis actually makes everything clear, right? And it enables the best companies to elevate themselves.
So next question is that your motto is do more and do it better. Can you explain how companies do more and do it better with Sage Intacct?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Our objective is to free humans from doing repetitive, low-value work, right? And we do that by using artificial intelligence and cloud computing to automate all the routine activities. So humans shouldn't be sitting at a desk all day doing data entry. Humans should be collaborating with each other and making decisions. Humans should be, analyzing information to plot their strategy. And so it's a two-part mission. The first part of the mission is to automate all the routine, repetitive work. That then frees up humans to work on more valuable things, to spend all their time on more strategically valuable work. So that's the crux of it. And by the way, I use the word human to make sure that we're clearly separating human AI, right? Artificial intelligence is technology that's designed to imitate human intelligence, right? But the reality is that human intelligence is so far ahead of artificial intelligence. And so we believe that humans, if they can be freed up from this low value repetitive work, they can have a much bigger impact in their businesses.
So you think that humans still have the chance to survive, right? Against artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. AI is magical, what it can do. We are so far away from AI that understands the world, right? That can understand and complicated, the complexities of the world and make decisions. Humans are going to be at the top of the pecking order for quite some time.
Yeah. So the outbreak will have long-lasting implications, leaving a new world order behind. Although predicting the future is getting harder every day, in the light of your experience, what can you say about the future of accounting and financial management software, which are quite critical for companies?
Well, the answer is that business is going to be digital, meaning that the way a business operates is going to be executed through software, right? Through technology. Mm-hmm. And that means that the traditional role of accounting applications and business applications to record the results of all that activity needs to transition to driving the activity, optimizing the activity, to supporting the leaders in the business. So the future, I think, is quite strong. One of the ways we like to talk about this is that in the past, technology really only enabled accountants, CFOs to look past and to ensure that their organizations were compliant. With technology continuing to evolve, those same people should now be able to look at the future. They should have the confidence that compliance happens automatically, and they should be totally focused on, designing effective strategies. If you're a nonprofit organization, being more effective with your mission. There's one other, I think, important thing here and that is that accounting, even today, is mostly focused on the financial impact of business. We know that businesses need to evolve to measure not just their financial impact, but their societal impact, the social impact. They need to start thinking about sustainability. They need to start thinking about diversity and inclusion. They need to actually not just be profitable, but to have a positive impact in the societies where businesses operate. So I believe that accounting and financial applications will start to play a bigger role in now helping companies not just gauge their financial results, right? But the broader results that the businesses have had against their bigger mission in the world.
Yeah. The Sage Interact Advantage event, in which we are very happy to be involved in, and it hosts dozens of experts from different sectors. Can you tell us about the advantages of Sage Interact and how it adapts to different sectors?
Yeah, so the key here is that a company who, for example, is in hospitality, who owns restaurants and hotels, has very different needs from a company that is in energy exploration, right? Looking for oil or developing wind farms. And so it's insufficient to sell an out-of-the-box solution that is rigid in the way that it solves receivables and payables and general ledger. Mm-hmm. And so with Sage Intacct, we've designed a product that is highly configurable to work with very different business models. But it's much more than just having the product. It's also having an ecosystem of partners that really understand each specific sector. We have partners that are very, very focused on what might be considered very small sectors. We have one partner that focuses on Hollywood production companies, right? These companies that produce movies and television shows. But actually, the requirements in that industry are very sophisticated. The way they track expenses, the way they track revenue, the way they determine profitability, the way they manage their relationship with various investors. And so to serve that very new sector, you need technology that is highly, highly configurable, but you also need a partner, a consulting firm that can work very closely and understands the needs, right, to help them to be successful. So it's the configurable technology and having the right partnerships is really the key to it.
Yeah. So my final question, how can Sage Intacct help businesses in the new normal? What are your customers asking you to do differently in the new now? What steps are you taking to meet their needs?
Well, I think it all goes back to digital transformation. Mm-hmm. The good news is that prior to COVID-19, we had a nice way of measuring how much our customers were digitally transformed, because we knew how much activity was automated versus how much activity was still manual. And prior to COVID-19, our customers were already about 70% digitally transformed, right? Meaning 70% of all their business activity was automated. And so, I think the opportunity for us now is not how do we get our existing customers to go from 70% to 80%. The opportunity is to get those customers, those businesses who haven't started yet on their digital transformation journeys, right? And to bring them in, right? It's the next generation of businesses now that we're not ready to digital transform, that we have to serve now. And that's going to mean approaching the way we create our solutions in a perhaps a different way, where there's a higher expectation about how easy things are. There's different expectations about how to interact with our software. So the new normal is, prior to COVID-19, companies who were leaning forward in their use of technology were embracing Sage Intacct. Now with COVID-19, a much bigger set of companies know they need to embrace digital transformation. And so therefore, we've got to build products that are more approachable, that are easier to consume, easier to understand for these businesses that aren't as technology driven.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Aaron. That was a great interview. Thank you so much for
Very
your
nice
time.
to meet you and talk to you.